Hey everyone, welcome back. I actually want to go ahead and build our own button with several different states. That means we're going to work on actually building something with some cool little movement in here. We have a click state, we have like hover, clicked, we have this moving over as well. So let's see what this all looks like. So over here, I have this button. So you can see when you hover, I have that little arrow popping up, and when I click, it pops. And then it goes back to that hover state. So super, super cool little interaction there. I'll show you how to do that with interactive components. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this main component here, and I'm just gonna make a copy. And this one is a bit, it's a little more involved. I'm going to just detach that by using Option Command B. But if you go over and right click, and if I just go back a little bit, you can detach the instance like this as well and see that little shortcut. So here we go. This is our starting state where we are just going to be in our default state. I'm going to make a copy below it because I'm just going to, before I create the actual component, I'm just going to make the copies as needed. So we have let's get started. What I want to do, since everything is in an auto layout frame, I'm going to have to be very good with my math here. What I want to do next is I want to make sure that, on the hover, what's going to happen is, this is just going to, move in a 2 pixel position. So it's just going to give me like a slight little like bump, and we can actually create these right now. We're gonna group them in our component set. We can call this our interactive, our button v2. This is going to be, our state. This is our default state. This is our default state. No, this is going to be our hover state. So you'll sometimes get a warning here saying that like you have properties that are named the same, so they can't really work. You shouldn't have two variants named the same or with the same properties. And then we have this one as our active state. So that means that when I use this, I'm going to just hover on here, keeping it really, really nice and clean. I'm not going to use the bounce until the click. I'm going to save that one. Okay, so now we have that. The only thing I think we need to do is we just need to like make this a little darker so we know what's happened. So I'm going to make another copy of this and call this interactive button. Perfect. You can say it's our V2. And we should probably call this one our interactive button, and we're just going to reuse this form over here. So we make sure everything is nice and clean. Okay, so that looks good. And I'm just going to take this button out. And I'm going to hold Option and drag that. You can hold Alt if you're on Windows. Okay, so now that I have it in here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new flow point so that way we can test it. So I am going to go to my prototype tab and add a new prototype, and I'm just going to call this interactive button v2, and let's jump in and take a look. So that's our v1 and our v2. So we have a little hover state looking beautiful. Now our next state is that click state. So what I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to copy the color that we have here and make it much, much darker. There we go. And we are going to really space out these two items. So remember, if I'm going to, add 4 here, I got to take away 4 from the right side on this one. So I'm going to add, so right now it's at 10 on this one, 10 and 14. Let's jump to something like 16. So I need to take away 6 and 10. So we're just literally swapping them. Oops. So 16, 10. I think this is going to be okay. Let's just hug those contents. 16 on the left side. There we go. That's why. So we need 16 on the left side here. Okay, so now we have a big jump. Perfect. So when we click on the hover state, because we're not clicking on the default state because we are switching these frames, right? So when we click on that, we're going to change and we're going to smart animate and we're going to make it bounce. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we had a little bit too much bounce there. Can probably bring this in just a bit. Maybe, let's see. There we go. Nice. And what we're going to do is now just to clean up this interaction, and what I like to do, I like to actually like make sure there's some sort of loop here sometimes, because you know, it's just nice to kind of be able to constantly click something and not have to worry about like restarting your entire prototype. So I have this on after delay, and you know, after like say 5 or maybe like 300, or you know, let's just do 500 milliseconds. What we're going to do is we're just going to change back, and we will just go ease out. Just going to make sure it's nice and quick. And then since you know, we have no way to go back here, since this is like, okay, we're on that screen, we can just, you know, mouse leave it right there as the interaction, and same thing. So let's see. So that was a little bit too long. What I want that to be is maybe like 150, and this one, mouse leave. So the after delay trigger needs to be 1 millisecond. You can't have less than that. And 150, let's see again over here. After delay, let's maybe make it around 300. And let's go see. Nice. So that looks like one nice little interaction now. So if I click it, it's just going to go through there. If I click it, it's going to go back to here, and boom. So that is how you can create your very own interactive little UI element. So you can just reuse that through your prototypes really easily. You can, you know, showcase how things are supposed to work and have a little fun with some of these little micro interactions, like these bouncy jumps with, you know, the movement, and being able to reuse them over and over again.